Aloha coaches! This training video is designed to help you specifically with CrossFit newbies and some topics you could speak about in conversation regarding CrossFit if and when you are asked about it. Use this training as a guide for inquiries and if you have an appetite to coach an intro class. If you're wondering, no, it does not have to be on Saturday morning. In this training example, we have two newbies who have just walked in. Greet them and give a little introduction about yourself, and maybe include things like how you got started with CrossFit, how long you've been doing it, and why you love it so much. If you don't know the people, allow them to tell you a little about themselves. Since they are new, it is likely that they'll be nervous, so try to make them feel comfortable. This is also the time to ask whether someone has any injuries or physical limitations that you need to be aware of. Start with the basic core of CrossFit and write it out if possible. That way they can look at something and hopefully calm their nerves a little. There are three main points to the CrossFit methodology, starting with constantly varied, functional fitness, and performance at a relative high intensity. When explaining constantly varied, I like to point out that the workout is written out and all they have to do is show up. The workouts change daily and are programmed by Coach Christine, and unless it's a benchmark or tribute WOD like Murph on Memorial Day, to expect something different every time. Functional fitness. I like to give examples of how things we do in CrossFit translates to things that we can use in our everyday lives. One example I like to use is explaining how I come home from the commissary and deadlift all the bags because I'm too lazy to do multiple trips, which mimics dumbbell deadlifts. Another example is playing with the baby and throwing them up in the air where the movement and strength is contributed from wall balls. You can certainly get creative with your own examples, and you don't have to use any of mine. Performed at relative high intensity. The word I like to highlight here is relative. I remind them that it is their workout and they should not be comparing themselves to the other athletes because everyone is shooting for their own goals, come from different athletic backgrounds, and may have put in a lot of time to where they are now. As long as they are putting the level of effort that makes them sweat and gives them their own little wins, that is what they should be focused on. Let them know that all the movements are scalable. This would be a good time to acknowledge any issues or physical limitations that came up earlier and explain that there is always a movement that can be substituted if someone is unable to do what is posted on the workout. Explain that everyone, regardless of age or ability, can do CrossFit. If time allows, I like to quickly show them the CrossFit pyramid. Starting from the bottom and making my way up. At the bottom of the pyramid is nutrition. I like to point this out because nutrition is the base of not only CrossFit, but in any goal that has to do with athleticism. I also like to mention it because it holds them accountable on what they put on their mouths, and not to expect to just join CrossFit Zeus and look like Troy the next week. Short for metabolic conditioning is next up on the list, Metcon, which basically means a type of training designed to build muscle, burn calories, and improve endurance in a shorter amount of time. Gymnastics. Exercises developing physical agility and coordination. Weightlifting refers to physical exercises in sports in which people lift weights, often using dumbbells or barbells. And lastly, sports, a form of physical activity or game that will greatly improve with CrossFit. Class structure is basically letting them know that the classes are 1 hour long and every class is led by a coach. The coaches are there to help, so if they have any questions, the coach should be able to provide guidance. As we all know, the class date and times are Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. And the afternoon classes are 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 p.m. And on Saturday, 9 a.m. only. If no classes are scheduled, the 6:30 hour block can be used as open gym for all paying members. As far as for the general expectations, remind them to be on time for the class, leave your ego at the door, respect the equipment as if it were their own, come in with a can do attitude, and what you give is what you get. But more so, never whine, complain, or make excuses. CrossFit jargons. Teach a few words we use frequently, like how we use box in place of gym. I have them look around and point out how the equipment is kept on the edges and the main area is open, unlike a global gym that has big machines that occupy a lot of space. WOD is short for workout of the day. An AMRAP represents as many reps and rounds as possible, and explain how the scoring of a AMRAP works. Make sure you don't lose them and ask them if they have any questions. And finally, the fun part. You'll want to have the WOD written on a whiteboard so the athlete has a visual and can reference something if he or she forgets what to do. The free class workout is typically a 12-minute AMRAP with 6 wall balls, 9 ring rows, and 12 kettlebell swings. These movements are lower threat as far as causing serious injury, but will still give them a good workout, as well as giving you an idea of their level of fitness and ability. This is not completely set in stone as you can tweak it a little. For example, if the person is completely new to working out and or maybe on the heavier side, feel free to adjust the time to 9 instead of 12 minutes. Or on the flip side, if the athlete comes in hot and seems like he or she wants to show off, you give them the option to start with strict pull-ups and move to the ring rows if needed. Finally, bring them out to the floor and start them out with a stretch and a quick warm up. The first fundamental movement you want to show them is the air squat. Keep the instructions simple and try to stick to 3 points of performance per movement. You want to keep them safe, not train them as if they were going to the CrossFit Games. Have them do a few reps of the air squats and fix the biggest faults first. If they are able, set the standard that squats are parallel or lower. If they cannot squat to parallel, have them squat to as low as they are able. Demonstrate and go through the rest of the movements with simple instructions. For example, show them the target on the wall and remind them of trying to get their squats at least to parallel for the wall balls. For the ring rows, show them that you're looking for a full extension of the arms with a pull to the armpits while keeping their back tight. And for the kettlebells, remind them that the power comes from the momentum of the legs. Let them try each movement out and make corrections as needed. When you feel like they're ready to go, set the timer and let the countdown begin. During the workout, observe, make simple corrections, and say something encouraging here and there. You may have to usher them from one station to the other since they're likely getting tired and probably thinking, what did I get myself into? At 3, 2, 1 time, give them a few minutes to catch their breath and let their souls find their bodies again. Praise them for a job well done for their efforts. Recommend a cool down. A slow 200-meter walk is good as they will appreciate the fresh air.